Welcome back to another episode of me testing out crochet kits so you guys don't have to waste your money or your time buying something that may or may not be good. Hey Yarny peeps, my name's Sarah aka Crocreate, and today I am going to work through this too cute crochet kit. We're going to see, is it any good? What are the patterns like? Is there enough yarn, stuffing, all of that good stuff in the kit, and is it worth buying? This kit is from Hinckley. It's not a brand that I've heard of before. It actually retails at $12.99. However, I picked it up from the range. If you've seen the video where I did a range shopping haul, I'll link that down below. That's where I picked this up from, and I think I only paid £6 or £7 for it. So not mega expensive for a crochet kit at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through a couple of the projects in the kit, have a look at the instructions, what's the yarn like, what's the hook like. I already know, and thank goodness, that it's a metal hook because you will know my bugbear about plastic hooks in these kits. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with a 4-hour long video where I work up every single thing in this kit just to see if it has got enough yarn in it. What I'm going to do is take a look at everything we get, make up a couple of the projects just to see how much yarn we get, because there's 5 projects in the kit. And then just give a quick overview of what's the yarn like, what are the instructions like, is it worth getting for a beginner, do you need to be a little bit more advanced? All of those things that I think you need to think about when you're buying a crochet kit. So without further ado, let's crack on and see what's in the box. Okay, so we have the box here. As you can see, too cute to crochet. So let's have a look and see what's in this box. Now, it's already open because I got it from my range haul, so we had a look what was in it then as well. Let's grab out, try not to tip everything out while I do this. What exactly is in this box? So as you can see, we have a really nicely illustrated photographed full colour booklet with 5 patterns in. So we have got in here the terminology and symbols, and then there's a bee, bunny, owl, chicken or an egg, there might be 6 actually, a snail and a whale. So a really cute illustrated photographed even book. And then we've got stuffing here, quite a lot of stuffing. Stuffing does compact, so I know there's going to be a lot in there. And then we have all of our yarns. We've got a blue, a yellow, black, lilac, white, orange and a darker purple. And just so that we can see actually how much is in them, I'm going to get the little scales out and we're going to weigh them, so we've got a rough guide to exactly how much is in these. So blue, we have 22-ish grams there, and then the white we've got 5 grams, and then black 5 grams ish again, lilac 3.5 grams, darker purple 2.5 grams, yellow 5-ish grams, and lastly orange 1 gram. Now these do go a long way, so when you say like 1 gram, it probably goes a long way. But that's all the yarn we have in our kit. Nice selection of colours there. And then we also have lastly our metal crochet hook. It's a 3mm crochet hook, just bog standard metal crochet hook, but at least it's metal. That's the thing here, it is metal and not cheap plastic, which is what we don't want to see in these kits. So I'm going to grab everything and make up a couple of the projects and we'll be back. Okay, so we have made up our adorable little snail, which I think is great. There was a couple of things in the patterns that I noticed, a few like technical issues, but then for the price of, what I don't know is, for the price of these kits, are they having patterns tested and do they have a tech editor? Now, if you're retailing at $12.99 and you plan on selling a lot of these things, I would hope so, but I don't actually know. So this little snail dude worked up really, really quickly. It probably took me under an hour, to be fair. Absolutely in love with him. He's so cute, and true to the name of the kit, super cute, too cute crochet. He's too cute. He's adorable. Worked up with yellow, purple, white and lilac yarn, and then the only thing I didn't do, which it said to in the kit, was use the black yarn, and I'll just show you the black yarn so you can see. It's quite thick, and it said to use it for the eyes, and I didn't want the eyes to be as thick as the black yarn, so I did cheat and I used embroidery thread. The only thing is, it didn't come with any sort of tapestry needle or anything. So if you want to sew on the details and stuff like that, you're going to have to find your own needle. Might I add, our kits do come with a tapestry needle as well. Just a little plug there. So that's the only couple of things. I used black embroidery thread for my eyes, and I had to provide my own needle. But it's so cute, you know, and it is adorable, and I can see me wanting to make more of these little snails as well. I'm thinking I might hide them around in the summertime, just for people to find, because they work up really quickly too. So what I did was, I thought as the snail had to like under an hour, I'd start working up one of the other patterns, and I wanted to work up one of the bigger creatures, so I started on the whale. So let's just have a look at that in the book. So I won't show the full pattern, but what I do want to show you is just how it became a little bit more difficult to read. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't recommend this kit. It's just a couple of things. The first thing is they don't put the stitch count at the end of the rounds. Now, it's not in any of the book. It doesn't tell you what stitch count you should have in any of the patterns, which I think is quite confusing, especially for a beginner. That's one of my top tips, I think, for beginners, is make sure you count how many stitches you're supposed to have at the end of every row or every round, because otherwise how are you going to know if you're following the pattern correctly? So that was the first thing. The second thing is, as much as I absolutely love the picture diagrams, they're not laid out the best. So you can see here, we start off with round one, and it's got a lovely picture here. Great. And then we go to round two, again, another little picture. But then underneath round two, we also have round 3, 4, 5, and 6. That they are still numbered as point number 2. I just think it could be a little bit confusing, because I, one, couldn't differentiate because the rounds weren't bolded out, and 2, I looked at that picture and thought that is not round 2. It's clearly got 5 or 6 rounds in, and that's another thing that can be confusing. What I perhaps would have done is put a picture in for round 1, and then underneath here in bold listed round 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, even up to round 5, and then put another picture up here, round 6, because that's what you want round 6 to look like. And as I was working through, I couldn't understand, so I've started the whale. He's here. As I was working through, I couldn't understand why on earth my whale was not looking like the pictures. And that was because I realised the pictures actually aren't in the right place. It's just a little point, but I think if you're picking this up as a beginner or as someone that's done a little bit of crochet and you want to expand your horizons a little bit, it needs to be laid out a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I am going to carry on making up this wonderful whale, and then I will come back at the end and we'll just do a quick run through of the pros, the cons, and whether I think it's worth buying this kit. I've just noticed something as I started trying to work this around. I've missed out 2 rounds. That is another reason I don't think the layout of this is the best. I'm counting my rounds to get back into working it, and I'm looking at it and thinking, I'm sure I'm here around 15 and 16. I remember doing them. I remember doing them last night. What I've done is I've worked from here. So I've done 1, 2, 3. Completely missed this bit out and then gone to here. Now, what I didn't do was read this properly. Admittedly, it's a little bit my fault, but I think this is a little bit jumbled as well. What they should do is just split it up. And I think that could be, it's frustrating for me because I've now got to go and find out where my mistake is. and it could be frustrating for a beginner because you're constantly flitting from this side of the page to this side of the page to this side of the page, and I just don't think it's laid out very well. So what I'm going to do is go and find my mistake, then work the rest of the whale up, and then come back and show you guys the pros and cons and whether I think this is worth you buying or not. Okay, so I've rectified my little mistake that I made, and I have finished the whale body, and actually now it does look a lot more like a whale shape. It's so difficult with this because as I'm working through it, I'm thinking, you know, the yarn's okay, the hook's okay, but I'm used to working with a really nice hook now, so it's okay. There's a lot of stuff in, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've made 2 things and I've still got this whole bag worth of stuffing left in there. And again, there's quite a lot of yarn because again, I've made 2 things and I've got quite a lot of yarn left as well. I hate giving bad reviews. I think I'm always trying to see the good in everything, but then I also don't want people to go out and buy this if it's not worth it. So I hate giving bad reviews. This kit has me torn. I'm going to look at the pros and cons and then we'll see if it really is worth it or not. Okay, so it's pros and cons time. The first pro of this kit, it was relatively cheap, £7, and you're getting quite a lot in there for your money. Second pro, the characters that you're going to create are adorable. They are cute. There's no denying that. They are cute to make. It's exactly what it says on the tin. Third pro, it's a quick make. So each of these patterns that I made from took under an hour. Even the little whale, even though I messed it up, it didn't take me long to rectify it. So they are quick makes. They are little makes as well. So if you're looking for things to make keychains out of, or bag charms, or little things to, you know, gift or leave around for random acts of kindness, these are perfect for that. Fourth pro, the patterns are really nice, but I just feel like you could get them on Pinterest or buy them from Etsy. I don't feel like they're at this stage anything different to what we would normally find on the internet out there, either for free or that you could buy really, really cheaply. We've got 4 pros. Now let's go to the cons. Con number 1, the pattern booklet isn't set out great. The technical issues in the patterns aren't great if you're a beginner, for certain. And also, even for more experienced crocheters, you're kind of going to look at it and think it's a little bit confusing with the pictures, with the way it's laid out. Although the patterns are really cute and I love that they have got pictures as well, it's just all a little bit jumbled up and confusing. Con number 2, the yarn isn't great. Now, I don't expect great yarn when I buy a kit like this, but the whole reason that I use Signet yarns in our kits is because I know it's a decent basic yarn. So we use Everyday Pato DK. It's a yarn that you can get out there reasonably well priced, but it's also a good standard of DK yarn, even though it is an acrylic yarn. Whereas this yarn, it just wasn't great. It kept splitting when I was trying to put my hook through the stitches. It doesn't feel the best. Which for plushies, you want something that's not necessarily an expensive yarn, but you want it to at least feel decent. And it's really, really like fibrous. So the Signet DK that I normally use isn't as fibrous as this. It doesn't leave as much fluff as this does. And I know it's a cheap kit and they want to make it as affordable as they can, but sometimes you don't want to scrimp on the yarn just for the price. I know personally that I'd rather pay a little bit more if the yarn in the kit was absolutely amazing, rather than buying something on the cheap and it not being the best. Con number 3, the hook, although it's metal, isn't the best. I actually found that when I was working with it, I was actually was squeezing the hook so tight to get that stability that I actually bent it a little bit at the bottom. So it's metal, which is great and I absolutely love. It wasn't the best quality. Con number 4, I hope. Magic of editing will tell you anyway. It didn't come with a tapestry needle. Now, these aren't no-sew patterns. You've got to put eyes on them. The least you could do is chuck in a plastic tapestry needle. Okay, they're not the best for sewing, but at least you've got something to work with. A lot of beginners won't have sewing needles like the more experienced of us will, so it didn't come with that, so you're a little bit limited as to what you can do with your faces and sewing your bits on as well. And finally, con number 5. My issue with this one is, although it gave instructions and pictures, some of them were a little bit disjointed. So when I was working up the whale, for instance, it said to place these fins. It just gave a picture of the whale with the fins on it, and it said sew the fins onto the whale. And I was kind of like, if you're a beginner, you're going to want some sort of inclination as to where you're going to sew those on. So in my patterns, I always put, sew them on between rounds 5 and 6, for instance. So although the instructions were okay, it just lacked a lot of detail. Like I say, I hate giving bad reviews, especially when it comes to crochet things, because I know how hard it is to get it right. This one just doesn't hit the mark for me. I love the patterns. If the little booklet inside came on its own, I'd have paid for that. I love that you've got more than enough material to make a lot of the patterns in there. That's another plus, but the materials are just lacking. The patterns themselves, although they're really cute, they don't appear to be tech edited. I don't know if they've been tested. It's little things like having the stitch count at the end of the round, having them laid out in a good way. Just all those little things that really make a difference, especially if you're just starting out on your crochet journey. I am going to give this kit a 5 out of 10. It's halfway between both. It's not rubbish enough that I'm going to chuck it on the bottom end of the scale, but it's not good enough that it goes right up near the top either. Patterns are adorable, great, cute, quick makes. A lot of materials in there, but it's just not well enough laid out for me to be sort of giving it a massively great score. Not suitable for a beginner. Do not buy this kit if you're a beginner and you're looking for something to buy. This ain't the one for you. You want to just start off looking on YouTube, what's about there, or buy a kit that's got video instructions. For instance, we have a couple of kits out there, rainbow keychains, flower headbands, that have a video instruction with them as well. You can read through the pattern, you can look at the video, you can go along side by side and really get to grips with what you're doing. Would I buy something from Hinkler again after reviewing this kit? Probably not. It's just not for me. I love the patterns. If they do pattern booklets, I'll probably, see what they've got and I'd buy a couple of those, but not a whole kit like this. It's just not for me. Let me know in the comments what other kits you would like me to try out. I have done a Knitty Critters. I'll link that down below. Is there any other kits that you would love for me to try out and see what they're like before you buy them? As always, you guys, please like and subscribe. It's free, it helps me out a lot, and it helps me to continue putting out content on YouTube for you and buying these things to see what they're like, so you can see what they're like first before you buy them. New videos go up every Sunday evening. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.